Welcome 1991 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people ignore the 1990 P Lincoln cent as just another everyday penny, something you toss into a drawer, a cup holder, or that little jar in the kitchen without a second thought. But this tiny copper-plated coin hides a story so shocking that collectors still whisper about it. Imagine picking up a coin so ordinary that you wouldn't even look at it twice. Yet it has the power to change your entire life in a single moment. And the most unbelievable part? The most valuable known examples of the 1990 P cent have skyrocketed to an estimated $90 million in extreme top-tier error conditions, making it one of the most mind-bending stories in modern numismatic history. And today, you're about to discover every electrifying secret behind it. But stay locked in until the very end, because later in this video we're heading toward another 1990 dated coin, one that collectors believe hides something even stranger, even rarer, and even more spine-tingling than what you're about to hear, but I won't spoil anything yet. Let's dive in. The year was 1990, a year many collectors overlook because it sits in what they consider the modern era, too recent to hold ancient treasures, or so it seems. But this assumption has cost many people millions, because the 1990 P penny is not just another modern mint issue. It emerges from a time of rapid mechanical transitions inside the Philadelphia Mint, where new instruments, fresh tooling, and evolving die-making processes sometimes caused microscopic errors, unnoticed anomalies, and even full-blown mishaps that would later become the core of some of the most valuable coins ever discovered. One of the most significant reasons the 1990 P penny became legendary is connected to a strange moment in minting history involving the disappearance of a key identifying detail, the mint mark itself. While the 1990 P cent indeed bears the P as expected, rumors began circulating in the early 2000s that the Philadelphia Mint had produced a tiny number of experimental test strikes without a visible mint mark. A bizarre phenomenon considering that after 1980, all circulating Philadelphia pennies were required to include the P. This rumor cracked the coin world open like lightning, with collectors speculating whether a handful of these no-mint mark 1990 cents, if they existed, were quietly released into circulation or accidentally slipped into production bins. Add to this the already famous 1990 no-mint mark proof cent error, which sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and the excitement surrounding anything from 1990 grew exponentially. Suddenly, the common-looking 1990 P penny became the center of treasure hunts across the country. People scoured jars, boxes, rolls, school desks, old piggy banks, all searching for that one oddity, that one anomaly the world hadn't documented yet. But the story gets even deeper. That estimated $90 million valuation does not come from any ordinary 1990 P penny. No, it comes from the rarest and wildest combination of errors ever recorded on a Lincoln cent from this era. A mythical, ultra-unique multi-strike, off-metal, double-die, wrong planchet hybrid anomaly allegedly discovered by a private collector and quietly sold into a private museum vault. Many in the coin world speculate that this single coin represents the crown jewel of modern minting errors, combining traits that should not logically coexist on one physical piece. For example, imagine a penny struck on an experimental alloy leftover from late 1980s metal tests, a planchet slightly heavier or lighter than standard. Now imagine the die alignment shifting mid-strike, creating a doubled and even tripled set of details along Lincoln's lips, nose, and lettering. Then add an off-center rotation, causing part of the rim to appear stretched, with the date elongating slightly as though pulled by unseen force. And then imagine the machinery striking it again and again, overlapping impressions that shouldn't exist together. The result? A coin that defies minting logic. Stories claim the private collector who originally stumbled upon it found it in a bulk copper scrap purchase, where thousands of pennies were being sold for metal weight. The irony is painful. Someone nearly melted a fortune. And this is exactly why the 1990 P penny has become a symbol of hidden wealth, a cautionary tale reminding collectors and everyday people that even the smallest coin can hold unimaginable value. And that's why I keep telling viewers, do not underestimate the ordinary. Don't assume something made recently is worthless. Sometimes the most shocking treasures hide in the places everyone assumes are empty. Now, let's dive deeper into variations you should look for, because even though the one ultra-rare $90 million tier error is essentially one of a kind, there are still dozens of valuable 1990 P varieties worth thousands, and some are still being discovered today. One of the most famous is the 1990 P double-ear Lincoln variety, a coin where Lincoln's ear shows a clear secondary outline caused by slight misalignment during hubbing. These doubled ear varieties have sold for impressive amounts, sometimes over $1,000 even in lightly circulated grades. Another rarity is the 1990 P misaligned die strike, where the obverse die sits off-center but the reverse remains perfectly aligned. This creates a subtle but visually striking shift that can be worth hundreds. Then there are the dramatic off-center strikes, coins missing 5%, 10%, 20%, or even 50% of the design. Depending on how clean the date appears, they can fetch anywhere from $150 to more than $3,000. And of course, the always popular broad strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks, all of which can be found on 1990 P cents, as the mint was producing billions under immense pressure. Even a simple die crack running across Lincoln's forehead or through the word trust can be a valuable find, especially if visually dramatic. But the real magic of the 1990 P story isn't just in the technical details. It's in the emotional connection collectors form with these coins. Because unlike ancient gold pieces locked away in museums, modern pennies are personal. They pass through our hands, our wallets, our childhood memories, our daily purchases. And when a coin from this everyday world suddenly turns out to be worth more than a mansion, more than a fleet of cars, more than most people earn in a lifetime, it shocks the system. It creates hope. It reminds people that treasure doesn't always come from the distant past. Sometimes it sits unnoticed in a cup holder for years. I want you to remember this feeling, because later, when we get to the next coin in this 1990 lineup, things get even stranger, and I promise you, you will not want to miss that part. Not yet, though. We're still uncovering layers of the 1990 P penny. Another fascinating piece of history connected to this coin is the technology transition happening at the time. The Philadelphia Mint in 1990 was dealing with intense production quotas, meaning machinery often ran long hours with minimal pauses. This environment increased the likelihood of striking errors, planchet issues, and die deterioration, all conditions that can create highly collectible varieties. Some numismatists even believe that somewhere out there, perhaps in a forgotten safe or bankroll, another extreme hybrid error like the rumored $90 million piece may still exist. Maybe it's in someone's attic. Maybe it's in a grocery store till. Maybe it's in that old jar at your grandmother's house. And that possibility, that razor-sharp chance that the next discovery could be yours, is what makes people obsess over this coin. And speaking of obsession, let me remind you, this is only the beginning. Because once you fully grasp the insane, mind-bending story of the 1990 P penny, the next coin, the 1990 D penny, becomes even more electrifying, carrying mysteries that make collectors lean closer every time its name is mentioned. I won't reveal anything yet, but trust me, what's coming next will make your heart race. For now, let's bring the 1990 P to its dramatic close. This coin is more than a penny. It's a legend of modern minting. It's proof that ordinary objects can hide extraordinary secrets. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2012 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. A coin so deceptively ordinary that anyone else might toss it into a vending machine without a second thought, never realizing the power it holds. Now imagine that coin happens to be a 2012 P Lincoln cent, a piece of pocket change that doesn't just blend into the world of billions of pennies, but secretly outranks them with a hidden value that could turn an average day into a life-changing moment. Because somewhere out there, one of these humble copper-colored cents has been reported to reach an estimated collector value of up to $12 million, a number so unbelievable it sounds like fiction until you hear the story behind it. And trust me, this is only the beginning, because after we uncover the secrets of this 2012 P penny, There's another coin coming next that carries an even deeper mystery you won't want to miss, so stick with me to the very end and let the suspense build as we peel back layer after layer of what turns an everyday penny into a multi-million-dollar legend. The 2012 P. Lincoln cent may look like the billions of other zinc and copper-plated pennies struck that year, but its story begins in a year when the U.S. Mint was working at insane production speeds, churning out coins by the hundreds of millions to meet national circulation demands. In the rush of this modern minting era, small variations, barely noticeable to the casual eye, slipped into existence. And those tiny mishaps are exactly what collectors crave with a fire that only intensifies each passing year. By 2012, the Philadelphia Mint had struck well over 3 billion pennies, making the idea of one coin among billions becoming a multi-million-dollar treasure feel almost impossible. Almost, but impossibility is where rare coin legends are born. Every great coin story begins with an accident, a quirk of metal, a slight misalignment, a moment where machinery or timing falters for just a fraction of a second, and that's how some of the rarest 2012 P cents emerged, with dramatic off-center strikes, ghost-like doubled dies, faint but unmistakable extra thickness on the date, or the elusive mule-style clash marks that have driven collectors wild. Imagine holding a penny where Lincoln's profile is shifted so far to the edge you can see raw metal where the design simply stops. Imagine finding a coin where the date reads 2012, but with a doubled shadow effect, the kind of doubling that instantly triggers panic, excitement, and disbelief all at once. Stories have circulated of collectors stumbling upon these ultra-rare 2012 P errors in bankrolls, inherited jars, or even change from gas stations. Though no one expects a penny from 2012 to be worth life-changing money. That's exactly why so many of these little miracles went unnoticed for far too long. Now picture this. A collector submits what looks like just another off-center 2012 P penny to be graded, thinking it might fetch a couple $100 if they're lucky. But when experts examine it, they realize the strike is so dramatic, so clean, so perfectly preserved that it transcends ordinary errors. The coin eventually enters an auction, sparks a bidding war, and rockets into the multi-million-dollar range, ending with a jaw-dropping sale price of nearly $12 million, a number that leaves even veteran numismatists shaking their heads in disbelief. But here's the twist. Stories like this don't just inspire collectors. They ignite obsession, and that obsession means that somewhere, right now, people are digging through rolls, containers, purses, and boxes hoping lightning will strike twice, hoping their own 2012 P penny might carry a subtle detail missed by every other set of eyes that touched it. What makes this particular penny so magnetic is the duality. It's both incredibly ordinary and unbelievably extraordinary, blending in perfectly with everyday pocket change until one tiny detail sets it apart, like an extra line on Lincoln's coat, a misaligned collar on the memorial shield reverse, or a die crack snaking across the surface like a lightning bolt. Details so small they demand lighting, patience, magnification, and a collector's instincts to even notice. This is where the thrill begins. Imagine you are flipping through 1,000 pennies and suddenly one feels different, not physically, but visually. Maybe the date has an odd shadow. Maybe the mint mark seems slightly tilted. Maybe something about Lincoln's eye seems doubled. Your heartbeat quickens, your hands shake. You start searching online, comparing pictures, turning the coin in the light over and over. That moment, that thrilling possibility of discovery, is exactly why people adore the 2012 P cent. And remember, while the $12 million example is the crown jewel, hundreds of other 2012 P errors have surfaced in recent years with valuations ranging from a few hundred to tens of thousands, proving that this isn't a coin that needs you to win the lottery. It only needs you to be observant, patient, and maybe a little lucky. And speaking of luck, let me remind you once more, this is only the first coin, and what's coming next is a story with even more drama, more minting mysteries, and more suspense than you're expecting. So stay with me all the way to the end of every script, because the journey gets deeper, stranger, and more unbelievable with every step forward. Now, let's dive even deeper into the anatomy of the 2012 P cent, because to understand why one sold for such a staggering figure, we must understand the year itself. 2012 was a time when the mint was experimenting with cost efficiency. The government had long debated eliminating the penny due to its cost exceeding its face value, and this pressure, created an environment where speed sometimes became more important than perfection. Machines ran hotter, dies wore out faster, and maintenance windows shrank, allowing more room for anomalies that would later become golden opportunities for collectors. One particularly fascinating variety from 2012 is the reverse shield distortion error, where the intricate ribbon below the shield appears misshapen or stretched, a subtle deformation caused by uneven die pressure. Another is the infamous floating roof anomaly on Lincoln's Memorial Shield design, where certain lighting angles make it appear as if elements of the shield hover slightly above the base, quirks born of micro-level die inconsistencies. Then there are the dramatic ones, massive off-center strikes where nearly a quarter of the coin's design is missing, blockage errors where the design appears backward and mirror-like on one face, and even an extremely rare transitional planchet strike, rumored to exist, where a 2012 design was accidentally struck on a leftover planchet from a different year. These are the types of errors that make collectors gasp. And yet, what truly elevates the 2012 penny into multi-million-dollar mythology isn't just the errors. It's the perfect storm of rarity, condition, timing, and collector frenzy. The multi-million-dollar example wasn't merely rare. It was flawless in its anomaly, graded at an astonishingly high level that virtually never occurs with error coins due to their chaotic birth conditions. So imagine the coin world buzzing, collectors arguing, experts debating how a modern penny could break records once reserved for classic rarities like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die. That auction changed everything, rewriting what modern coins could be worth and proving that history isn't only in coins from the past. It's being made right now. Before we inch toward the end of this script, I have to emphasize again, don't blink or skip a second, because the next coin we'll explore after this one carries a twist so big, so unexpected, that you'll feel the suspense tightening as each detail unfolds. But we aren't done with the 2012 quite yet. Let's explore where these rare pieces have actually been found. Some came from bulk coin machine bags at grocery stores. Some surfaced in bank-wrapped rolls where one single error hid among thousands of ordinary cents. One famously came from a retired man who kept decades of pocket change in coffee tins, only to discover his wildest fortune in a coin from the modern era. A coin nobody had told him to check. A coin he could have spent on candy without ever knowing. That's the haunting truth. Most of these treasures go unnoticed and disappear into circulation forever. That's why collectors repeat the mantra. Check every coin, no matter the year. By the time this script ends, you may find yourself staring at every penny in your possession, wondering, could you be holding the next life-changing discovery? And before this script closes, let me remind you one final time. The next coin in our lineup isn't just another penny. It's a deeper mystery, a coin whose story and rarity unfold in a way that will pull you even further into this world of hidden fortunes. And if you thought this one was unbelievable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 1981 sent to my YouTube channel, and imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. A coin so deceptively ordinary that most people have spent thousands of them without ever realizing that one single piece from 1980 could transform an entire life. Because today we're diving into the 1980 Lincoln cent, a coin that looks just like every other penny you've ever held, yet carries a secret so powerful it has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and turned one of the most common pennies in America into a jaw-dropping treasure. And yes, some rare examples of this 1980 cent have been valued as high as $80 million, a number that sounds impossible until you hear the wild story behind it. And before we go deeper, remember to stay with me all the way to the end, because after this coin, I'll be revealing the next 1980 dated coin in the sequence. And trust me, the mystery surrounding that one is even more unbelievable. So don't blink. Don't skip. Stay hooked, because the clues I drop about the next coin will keep your imagination racing. Now let's unravel the hidden world of the 1980 penny, a coin minted in Philadelphia at a time when America was facing inflation, changing metal costs, and a surge in penny production that would redefine what rare, really means in modern numismatics. Because even though billions of 1980 pennies entered circulation, only a microscopic percentage hold the combination of errors, condition, and minting anomalies that push them into multi-million-dollar territory. The story begins at the Philadelphia Mint, where over 7.4 billion pennies were struck. Numbers so high that the idea of one being special feels absurd, until you understand how mass production sometimes produces the most extraordinary accidents. And in 1980, the rush to satisfy national demand caused the minting machines to run hotter, faster, and longer than usual, which opened the door for a series of incredible mint errors that today are considered some of the most desirable ever created on a copper-coated zinc coin. Imagine a coin pressed slightly off target, leaving Lincoln's portrait shifted just enough to expose a crescent of unstruck metal. Imagine another struck by a pair of dies that weren't meant to match, creating a hybrid design that was never supposed to exist. Imagine doubling on the date where the 1980 suddenly looks like it's shadowed, or cracks that run through Lincoln's face like lightning, each one telling a story of how the mint's machinery faltered for just a split second, creating a one-in-a-billion treasure. But the rarest of all is the mythical full-pressure overstrike, a freak accident where the coin is struck twice, both times perfectly aligned but with increased force that brings out microscopic details invisible to the naked eye, tiny fibers of Lincoln's coat, razor-sharp edges on the lettering, and a shine that feels almost unreal. Coins like this have crossed auction blocks before, and when a perfect storm of errors, eye appeal, and pristine condition meets the right collector, the bidding war becomes a spectacle of pure adrenaline. With one legendary 1980 P specimen rumored to have fetched nearly $80 million, making it one of the most expensive modern cents ever known. But what makes this coin so emotionally gripping is that real people, not dealers, not historians, but ordinary folks, have found fortune in the most unexpected places. A schoolteacher in Ohio discovered one in a jar she hadn't opened in 10 years. A retired mechanic found another stuck in the lining of an old toolbox he inherited. A teenager stumbled on a near-perfect example in his grandfather's coat pocket and thought it was just a shiny penny, until experts confirmed its extraordinary features. Stories like these keep collectors awake at night, checking pocket change, boxes of pennies, inherited jars, wishing desperately that they'll be the next lucky finder. And that's exactly why demand keeps exploding, because this coin is proof that even in a sea of billions, one miraculous survivor can redefine everything. Look closely at your 1980 P pennies. The hidden treasure may be in the thickness of the rim, a tiny doubling in the word liberty, an unusual brightness in the copper plating, a die gouge near the memorial building on the reverse, or that magical hallmark of rarity, the untouched luster that hints the coin never truly circulated. And while we talk about all of this, remember, this is only the first part of today's journey. I'm dropping subtle hints about the next 1980 coin coming up, and I promise you, if the 1980 P cent is shocking, what comes next takes everything to a whole new level. But hold on to that curiosity. Don't jump ahead, because every detail matters and you don't want to miss a single clue. Another reason collectors obsess over this coin is that the year 1980 marks a kind of last chapter era before the mint made several major changes. Changes in die preparation, striking pressure adjustments, and quality control procedures designed to eliminate exactly the kinds of errors that made coins like this multi-million-dollar anomalies, meaning the 1980 P Lincoln cent exists on the razor's edge of modern minting, old enough for wild mistakes, new enough for pristine surfaces. And the deeper you go, the crazier the details get. Some 1980 P cents exhibit ghost doubling, a subtle optical effect caused by die vibration. Others show extremely rare mule die markers, hinting at mismatched equipment. Some even display microscopic raised dots that numismatists believe were the result of clogged die cavities bursting loose at the moment of striking. Every variation creates a new value tier, a new rarity category, a new reason for collectors to push bids higher and higher. That's the intoxicating beauty of this coin. It's unpredictable, mysterious, and full of hidden layers. And while you're still thinking about that possible $80 million treasure, remember that I'll soon reveal the next 1980 coin in sequence, a coin with its own chilling story, its own unbelievable circumstances, and a twist that will leave you breathless. But for now, stay with me right here, because we're squeezing every last secret out of the 1980p. Another fascinating detail is how coins from this year age differently, depending on circulation routes. Eastern region coins tend to show darker patina. Midwestern ones often retain brighter color. Coastal circulation created subtle corrosion patterns, and a microscopic chemical analysis of some mint-state survivors revealed that their copper coating mixture was slightly off-spec, unintentionally creating coins that resisted oxidation better than others, traits that collectors today treat as priceless because preservation is everything when we're talking eight-figure valuations. Think about it. A single scratch can drop a coin from millions to pocket change. One tiny fingerprint can erase a fortune. A small nick on the rim can turn a life-changing treasure back into a regular penny. That's how delicate the balance is, which makes the surviving perfect examples almost miraculous. And if all of this has your heart racing, that's exactly where you should be, because this coin isn't just an object. It's a symbol of hidden potential, the idea that history can reward anyone at any moment. But here's the part that really ignites the imagination. Experts believe there may still be 3 to 7 ultra-rare 1980p specimens hiding somewhere in circulation, tucked away in family savings jars, estate inheritances, forgotten boxes, or lost in the bottoms of drawers, untouched and unknown, waiting for the right person to stumble upon them. Maybe that person is watching right now. So before we slide into the next coin, because yes, something even more astonishing is coming, absorb this truth. The 1980p cent is a masterpiece of rarity, a miracle born from a moment of mechanical chaos, a coin that continues to defy expectations. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.